Welcome back, welcome back. It has been a long time. Sorry for the delay. It has been a crazy April. I have started my side job, so I have been torn from. I've been away from podcasting. It's been really sad, but I am great to be back. If you are a first time listener, I am your co host, Marcus Flowers, aka Flo, at one Marcus Flowers on all social media platforms, also known as Call Me What You Want, Just Don't Call Me Lazy, and I am joined by.
Y'all know who it is. Metro Meta, the one who will rise above, he who shall not be named. I'm excited to get into it this week.
All right, and just real quick before we jump in, Momo, how you feeling, man?
Pretty good, pretty good. It's the end of the semester. It's really busy, but I'm taking it one day at a time.
Dope, dope. So let's just hop right into the front porch. So has Gary Vaynerchuk gone too far? Before we get into it, if you guys are unfamiliar with Gary V, as he's known, he is a social entrepreneur slash influencer slash serial entrepreneur. He is, if you guys don't know Gary V's story, he started as a worker at his parents winery, and he grew that business from $1.1 million to a $12 million through direct interaction through the internet. And he has grown on to be a social entrepreneur by starting the 1:37 p.m. Site, Vandercheck Media, and he's basically into a lot of things. But has he gone too far? Recently, he posted a video, and it's titled "Fuck Your Grandpa," and it's basically talking about how older people are talking about how social media is a thing in the past, and how you need to get off of your cell phones, and how basically social media has ruined everything and technology has ruined everything. Morgan, did you get a chance to listen to this?
I didn't get a chance to listen to the video, but I did get a chance to like read his message, and there is a big conversation about like social media. You have a lot of those hipster people being like, I'm going on a social media cleanse, and I've never truly believed in those things, and I think a lot of the points he's making are extremely valid. As an individual, I see social media as something that is extremely powerful, and as much as a lot of people believe it's corrupting us, in my own opinion, I believe that social media isn't something that is inherently bad, but I believe the people who are using it and the users and humanity as a whole is inherently bad, and it's just bringing out these things that are already and have already been a part of humanity for so long. And honestly, I only have one problem with this whole spiel he put up, Marcus. You know what this problem is?
What is it?
Why did he put it on Instagram? I can't stand it when people write these long Instagram comments. I'm here for a photo. I'm so tired of this. I need everybody to stop doing that.
Okay, so I put this in just like the show notes just because I do find a problem with it because Gary Vee has known to be unapologetic and to speak his mind. I have been following him for a minute. And when he first posted this video, I was definitely surprised and shocked and awed. And then I came to realize that we're not from the same culture. Because I myself, if my grandfather ever told me to put my phone down to get off of social media, if I ever said, hey, fuck you, grandpa, I definitely would not be alive. And so I think that is a barrier that he is not realizing. Gary Vee, he has a platform that transitions past races and culture, but when it comes down to it, there are certain cultural aspects that he can get away with that I certainly cannot. And one of that is disrespecting your elders. I have been just raised in the way I was raised up as a child. I could never talk back to my elders when they said something that was law. And for me to even, I never even thought about if I was doing something. It never occurred to my mind if my grandparents said, "Hey, don't do that." I'd never be like, "Hey, you don't know what you're talking about." And I see what he was doing, but it was more for shock value. It was more for like engagement, and it's just something that that has just become bad when it comes to social media, and that is shock value. People see the bright lights, people see the triggering, what triggers them, and that's definitely what Gary Vee is doing. He is a master at it, and him saying, "Hey, fuck you, grandpa," and it's weird because Gary Vee is going to be a grandfather someday. He has two children. I don't want to say how many, but he has a few children, and for him to say, "Hey, fuck you, grandpa," that's gonna be like one day. That's just weird because like you don't want your grandchildren. I'm just in his mind. Maybe he does like that, but I'm sure you don't want. I'm sure he doesn't want his grandparents when the next thing comes around saying, "Hey, get off of that, come talk to me." And they're like, "No, fuck you, granddad. You don't know what you're talking about." And I get what he was trying to do. I get what he was trying to say. How social media is important. How technology is important. But at the same time, I do think he is wrong. I do think it is still important to have genuine connections outside of social media, outside of the internet. Because if you are living in your phone, you really don't know what you're experiencing outside. And basically, a true experience of life, it doesn't happen through your phone. You have to get out there. You have to do things. You have to get hurt. You have to bleed, and you can't do that all through your phone. So that's where I disagree with him at. But moving on. So the fight for Dunder Mifflin. Morgan, have you heard this?
Let me check my notes. No, I haven't actually.
Okay, so basically in the world of streaming, Disney Plus is coming out later this year. We already have Hulu, Netflix, CBS All Access, and now it looks like NBC is getting into the game. And they are allegedly saying that in 2021, when their contract is up with Netflix, they will be taking back their properties and putting them on their streaming platform. And if you are unfamiliar with some of the properties of NBC, it is The Office, Friends, Parks and Recreation, Chuck. I'm trying to think of who else that's on Netflix, but it's a whole lot of properties that are on Netflix, and those in the properties that are NBCs that are on Netflix, those are the most viewed content on Netflix because Netflix top 10 viewed content is all NBC shows. Morgan, do you think NBC pulling their content off of Netflix will hurt or aid them?
Well, one of the big things when you look at these shows is you look at things like Friends, The Office. Those are the binge watching shows. Those are the shows where people get a little sauce and you can just sit there. They're easy watches. They're classics. So it will definitely hurt them. We heard the outcry when Friends almost left the platform. What I will find interesting is if Netflix tries to replace them. They've already sort of tried to replace them with New Girl, which honestly is my go-to easy show. But I definitely think with Netflix throwing their money around like they do, they're definitely going to try and just make their very own easy comedy show like a Friends, like a Parks and Rec, and like a Office. And I'm more excited for that than just rewatching episodes of Friends again. Like that.
Well,
That's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna be 100. If The Office gets off of Netflix, I am canceling my Netflix subscription. I mainly only use Netflix to watch The Office, to watch Parks and Recreation. I really don't watch Netflix for its original content. I watch it for shows like The Office. I watch The Office at least every day before I go to sleep. So I see what you're saying. I would not be interested into a new show just because there's never going to be a show that's as good as The Office, especially in this climate. If you made a show like The Office today, it would not fly. And so I'm definitely on the side of if Netflix gets rid of The Office, I'm definitely dropping my subscription in 2021. But yeah, enough of that. So, do you know what this week is, Morgan?
I do not.
This is the week. It has been 11 years in the making. 11 long years. Actually, hold up. Let me actually let me pull this up for you real quick. It has been 4,015 days in the making. It is officially Avengers Endgame week, and the movie that doesn't end, but has been on the horizon for 11 long years. It has already broken records. It is the most viewed movie trailer on YouTube in 24 hours twice. Pre-sale tickets, and it already has made 140 million pre-sales and shattering the Chinese box office record, and it is Rotten Tomatoes' most popular film ever. And it doesn't officially come out until Thursday, which is when we are releasing this. And so I want to hear from you, Morgan. Are you excited for this?
I am excited. Actually, today I got in a conversation with some of my classmates in our end of the year sort of classroom party slash work session. And not only am I excited, but I've met several individuals who, some of which aren't even like extremely into the MCU, are excited. So this is gonna be one of the biggest cultural events, and it's honestly like I don't know if you feel this, Marcus, but it's kind of sad because like at the end of this year, the Skywalker saga, the next Star Wars movie is gonna be ending, the final one in the saga, they say. Game of Thrones is ending fairly soon. MCU's ending the Infinity War saga. So this is gonna be a big year for like ending in some of the biggest geek and nerd franchises in the world. So this is going to be the first one to top it off. So I'm excited to see how things go.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned Game of Thrones. I have watched two episodes of Game of Thrones. Season 8, episode 1, and season 2, season 8, episode 2. So I consider myself a fairly experienced Game of Thrones fan. I'm excited
You
for the Battle of Winterfell, and I'm excited to see
do you
that.
have any
But
idea what's going on with the show?
hey, I know there's a lot of fighting,
No,
and that little girl gave
no.
it up easy, and the queen
You mean
is a
that little
whore.
girl who's been
So,
in the show for like the
hey,
whole
hey,
time?
whatever.
The
She
one
looks like she's
who, when
12.
it,
Anyway,
you realize she was a child when that show started.
moving on. So yeah, basically, Avengers Endgame is coming out. It's already breaking records. I will make our Avengers Endgame announcements coming up. But moving on, so the CW, who this network is notorious for having one season shows and two season shows, they have announced that they are renewing 14 shows,
Hmm.
which is a record for them. Let me see. So the network. Let me just read the blurb. This blurb for you. So this is through
Alrighty.
Variety. Three of the network's freshman shows, All American, Roswell, New Mexico, and In the Dark, will return for second seasons as well as the 100, which gets a seventh outing. This means that all five of the CW first year shows, including the previous renewed Legacies and Charmed, have been picked up for a sophomore run, a first for the network. The sixth season of The 100 is set to premiere on April 30th, and we'll see the characters descending to a new planet after being frozen in stasis pods on a spaceship for decades after escaping an uninhabitable Earth. So, Morgan, have you had an opportunity to watch any of these shows?
Allow for me to put it to you this way. The Legacy was a show I was looking at as well as trying, but I didn't end up watching them. The 100, however, I did watch the first few episodes, and those episodes stressed me out so much I couldn't go on with it. I
Yeah,
can't imagine what season 6 is gonna. I can't imagine season 6 of the 100. I couldn't get through episode 3 of season 1.
yeah, no, I actually finished the first season of The 100. It was pretty excellent. I also finished the first season of All American, and that was actually better than what I expected. So, yeah, just excited for all of these shows to come back, and that also includes the Arrowverse season Arrow that only has 8 episodes or 10 episodes this upcoming season. So yeah, it looks like CW is betting on their content. And next up, Jeopardy. So this is a first on the SuperFlow Bros podcast. We have never talked about Jeopardy. So there is a man. His name is James Holzhauer, and he has eclipsed $1 million mark in a 14-game winning streak. So the professional gambler and Jeopardy leader won another 118,816,000 during Tuesday's game, bringing his total earnings to 1,661,540 it's crazy. He basically has the keys to the city. He's basically beating Jeopardy. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to see these game shows actually do what they're supposed to do.
And finally, the only person who's big enough to handle Will Smith's ego is Will Smith. He is released. Well, I don't want to say he is starring in a new movie called Gemini,
Gemini.
and he will
Hmm.
be facing his younger self. It comes out October 11th, and it's going to be older Will Smith versus younger Will Smith. So Morgan, the important question at hand: who wins, older Will Smith or younger Will Smith?
I mean, of course, it depends on how young you're going with Will Smith. I'd say OG rapping Will Smith or Fresh Prince Will Smith always over everybody else. Everybody talking about all this drummer Will Smith that 21 pounds and all that stuff, but OG Will Smith to me is like number one.
Yeah, I definitely feel like younger Will Smith will give older Will Smith the hand just because he still is a little bit rougher. He hasn't met his Jada yet. He doesn't have 3 kids. He's not on this Zen life. He's still trying to be a successful movie star, successful rapper. He's still hungry. And so I feel like younger Will Smith will kill older Will Smith.
Interesting. He also performed with his son at Coachella this week, and it
Yeah,
was nice to see.
was it nice to see?
I mean, it's nice to see a father. It's nice to see a black man with his son.
All right, let's not act like they're unicorns. Like there are plenty of black men who hang out with their sons.
Mm.
Sorry about that. If you heard that, sorry. All right, so moving on, we are now in the living room. So Tesla reports a $702 million loss in the first quarter. So Tesla reported Wednesday wider than expected losses, 702 million or $4.10 a share in the first quarter after disappointing delivery numbers, cost, and pricing adjustments to its vehicles threw the automaker off on the profitability track. The loss included a $188 million of non-recurring charges. When adjusted for one-time losses, Tesla lost $494 million or $2.90 a share, compared with the loss of $3.35 a share a year ago. Tesla reported that it also incurred 67 million due to a combination of restructuring and other non-recurring charges. So, yep, it looks like Tesla is just burning through money. It's
I
very
mean, but you can burn through money when you got shares. Like there's certain things right now that aren't profitable just because they run through shares. Like Uber. Uber is
yeah,
not profitable.
but I feel like Tesla is in a different area than Uber. I feel like Tesla is under more pressure to
They're
perform and
definitely
produce, and they are not
yeah.
producing right now.
What I will say when it comes to Tesla, again, they did mention a lot of restructuring, and that always is going to put a hamper in the bottom line. Tesla needs to work, and I think they know this as much. Tesla needs to work as hard as possible on getting a budget model of their car out there and for the public.
Yeah, and I do think their delivery method is also hurting them as well. The ordering online and not having and having very limited stores also hurts their profitability.
It hurts their profitability, but also when you think about, because here's one of the big reasons why a lot of people support Tesla. and they're online ordering is because whenever you buy a car through a dealership, you're getting ripped off. Like that's facts. You're getting ripped off. There's been multiple studies. There's been multiple discussions about it. You buy a car through a dealership, you're getting ripped off on a level that you can't even imagine. And Tesla is starting this new wave in which they're trying to fight against that, which is commendable, and it's also going to be difficult.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, moving on. Coles and Amazon are now in a partnership. Morgan, have you ever ordered anything weird or obscure off of Amazon and wanted to return it?
Not, no, no.
Okay, so quick side story. I last summer I was trying to get my beach bod on, and I bought a pair of speedos, and I was like,
Oh
"Ooh, I'm
gosh,
gonna kill them with these this summer. I'm finna go to the
that's not
day
true at
party
all.
in speedos, and I'm gonna get all the ladies." But
That didn't happen at
when
all.
I opened the package, I was like, I was bugging. Let me return these, and that's definitely what I did. And I went to the post. I went to the post office, and they were like, "Sir, what are you returning?" All like super loud, and I was like, "Hey, can you just return this back to Amazon, please?" And it was like, "Sir, you have to tell me what it is." And I was like, "Do I have to? Can't you just look into the box?" And we keep this like, "Sir, can you please tell me what it is?" And I was like, "All right, okay, man, it's a pair of speedos." And he just started giggling. "Oh, you thought you was gonna wear these?" I was like, "Okay, just shut up and return my stuff so I can get my money back." But so Kohl's and Amazon are now in a partnership, and you can return your products to the Kohl's store, and they will send it back to you. Morgan, do you think this hurts or helps Kohl's stay in business?
I mean, for Kohl's, it's a bonus. I don't know why, since Amazon already has drop off areas, but it gets people in the store, I guess. I mean, I don't know why Amazon would use Kohl's when they own Whole Foods and could have easily just said, hey, let's use Whole Foods.
But
But that's
would
to save money.
would you return your no never worn speedos to Whole Foods?
If it's closer to me than a Kohl's, yeah, I would.
Okay,
Where's the closest Kohl's to where you are right now, Marcus? Do you even know where a Kohl's is?
yeah, it would be about 20 minutes away from me.
20 minutes. How close is a Whole Foods?
About 30 minutes. No, about like 45. It's on the other side of town.
No, I wouldn't use Kohl's.
All right, so moving on. Samsung faceplants with the Galaxy Fold. So we have been talking about the Galaxy Fold and folding phone technology for the past couple of weeks now. Well, not the past couple of weeks, but at least the past month. And yeah, Samsung is collecting their crappy phones, and they are fixing it, and they will be re-releasing it as a whole in the next month. Morgan, do you think this is a
I
smart
mean,
move on them?
of course, it's a smart move. With the phones breaking, you don't want to send those out. There's $2,000 phones. What I will say, and what I think people are forgetting, is that this is very new technology. This is not like something we've been doing for decades. Now, if this was like the Galaxy 10 and phones were breaking like that, I'd be like Samsung's bugging. But this is like brand new, cusp of the like. If we're being truly honest with ourselves, fold technology probably should not be commercially ready for another 2 years minimum. So the fact or the ideal that Samsung even thought that they could get it out into the field alone shows a level of boldness that is unmatched.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, I will say, good for Samsung for not rushing to get the product out to the public. and trying to get all the kinks out before they release it because it is important. People have spent a lot of money on these phones, so yeah, just make sure that they are getting their money's worth. I think that is smart on them.
Yeah, I mean, my warranty's up and I need a new phone, but I definitely would not invest in a fold yet, though.
Okay. All right. Moving on. So we talked a little bit about streaming in the living room. I don't know if we covered this or not, but Disney Plus will have a price point of $4.99 per month, and
Hmm.
it will be and less than 20% of its content will be available on Netflix. I think this is a good move on Disney. They are lower cutting the competition while also having their own exclusive content, which includes, and if you're not unfamiliar with Disney, they now have the Fox. They now have the Fox Vote. They have the Disney Vote, Lady in the Tramp, Lion King, and all of that. Bambi, and they have the Marvel movies. They have the Star Wars, all the Star Wars movies, all of the Star Wars related content. So I do think this is a great move on them. I also think it is a great move that they are betting on themselves and they are removing their content from Netflix. I think that is best for both parties, and it will also force Netflix to be innovative as well. And that is a big thing that we've talked about over here, just being innovative and
Here,
making sure that and then just giving when you have competition, you give the consumer the best product.
what I will say and what I want from Disney, I've said this from day one. I want Disney to put all of their content on there because Disney has so much content, so many movies. And to read a quote from Digital Trends, almost every single movie in Disney's catalog will eventually be available on the service. That should be there day one. According to Disney CEO Bob Iger, dispensing with so-called Disney Vault movies, which is a ripoff at this point in 2018, that kept classic films locked away for extended periods. The one exception is Disney's Song of the South, which Disney has more or less buried since the 80s thanks to racially insensitive content, of course. So again, I want Disney to go out all out with this. If you're going to have a streaming service, you put your best foot forward. Every single movie you made, the trash movies. I want Descendants up in there. I want that Magic movie they made. I want Zoe from the 24th century. I want everything you got in that streaming service for when I'm watching it, and I want new stuff. I mean, they've been talking about a couple few shows, Star Wars. I think in their massive Twitter thread that they put out there when they announced it, they also said that they were going to have a High School Musical spin-off movie or TV show. Which, okay, I'm down for more High School Musical. I think it's going to be interesting to have that in 2018, but Disney needs to go all out for this if they want to put their stake in there and not end up like another NBC All Access.
You mean CBS All Access?
Yeah, that
But
one.
no, I definitely get you there, and I completely agree. Um, so NASA is having an inflatable robot that will go into outer space. Um, I don't know how I feel, and it's called King Louis. I don't
Why
know.
would you call it that? That's
I
just a
don't
dumb
know
name.
why you would have a robot call it a king, inflate it, and send it to outer space. So
To do missions you don't want humans to do.
if you have been a long time listener of the SuperFlow Bros podcast, know that I myself, I I fear for the day when the robots take over. I fear when my Alexa will kill me in my sleep because it will, and it's probably listening to me record right now. But we're gonna keep it pushing. But my number one fear in life is a robot killing me. So let me just read this. There are plenty of reasons why robots have a valuable future in the space missions, but don't expect that the bots best suited for a life in the stars will necessarily look like the ones we're used to seeing here on Earth. The latest example of this is King Louis, named after the Disney's 1967 movie, The Jungle Book. Okay, that was my first time reading that. So they didn't name the King Louis after. Oh, I may sound ignorant. Never mind. Uh,
No,
no, no.
no, you're thinking of the French King Louis, right?
Yes, I am. I
That's
am.
what everybody was thinking of.
Uh,
Hold up, keep talking. I'm about to look this up.
okay, developed using funding from NASA. The inflatable creation may appear more like a float from the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade than a state of the art robot, but it's actually a pretty damn interesting glimpse at the possible future of robots. Robots like King Louie are essentially made up of bags of air surrounded by a fabric shell that is really strong. Mark Kilpatrick, a professor in a department of mechanical engineering at Brigham Young University who works on a project told Digital Trends, Louis' movement is controlled by inflating or deflating different chambers in his limbs. For instance, inflating a chamber on the bottom of his arms makes the arms move up, inflating a chamber on the top makes the arm move back down. As such, they function in the same agnatistic way as muscle pairs in the human body, where one muscle contracting means another one relaxing using only air pumped into the joints. Killpat estimates the robot's current payload capacity is equivalent to that of a more traditional robot, like Rethink Robotics Baxter Robot, for example.
Yeah.
So basically, all this robot needs is AI, and it will get between the cracks of your doors and kill you in your sleep. Very scary stuff. Very
All right,
scary stuff.
Marcus.
This is a real. This is not the border crisis. This is a man-made crisis. This
All
should
right,
be more
Marcus. Calm
important than
down.
the border
Calm
crisis.
down. Calm down. King Louis can be kicked over. For retrospective for our fans, the King Louis me and Marcus were thinking of was King Louis. French historians will know that it is a common name in the French monarchy, Louis or Louis. What I will say is this still has nothing on those scientists that brought pig brain cells back to life.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Okay, so next, not only will robots be able to squeak under your door to kill you, they will now be able to fly drones as a fake delivery service. So Google's Wing has landed the FAA's first approval for drone delivery. So instead of
I thought
UPS,
that was already a thing.
FedEx, no, it was not legal. A Google offshoot just got the FAA's first go ahead for drone deliveries. The Federal Aviation Administration on Tuesday authorized Alphabet's Wing Aviation to start delivering goods via drones later this year. Wing will start delivering commercial packages and unnamed aircrafts in Blacksburg, Virginia. It partnered with the Mid Atlantic Aviation Partnership and Virginia Tech as a participant in the Transportation Department's Unmanned Aircraft Systems Interrogation Pilot Program, an initiative to accelerate drone interrogation and help the department and the FAA devise rules surrounding drones. So now, not only will you have birds to be pissed off at, you will also have drones that will swoop by your head also. And when your Amazon package gets knocked over by another drone in the air and it falls somewhere in Kansas or wherever and not at your destination, you will now know that it is a drone's fault.
And I mean, we've been having problems with drones for quite some time, especially
We've
if
had
you're.
problems with deliveries. Let's not
I
talk
mean,
about drones.
we have had
Deliveries.
problems with deliveries because of where we live, but like drones as a whole have needed a lot of regulation and rules for quite some time, and hopefully that this will speed that up.
We will see. We will see. All right, so enough of the living room. We're now in the dining room. So Jussie Smollett should be brought back for Empire's next season. Taraji P. Henson and Terrence Howard tell Disney slash Fox. Together as a united front, we stand with Jussie Smollett and ask that our co-star, brother, and friend be brought back for our sixth season of Empire. The Oscar nominee and the rest of the portrayals of the Lion Clan wrote in an April 19th letter obtained by deadline that was sent to Fox Entertainment CEO Charlie Collier, Disney TV Studios, and ABC Entertainment Chair, Dana Wadden, Fox Entertainment President Michael Thorne, Daniels, Empire co-creator Daniel Strong, and various executive producers on the series. Reiterating the support and intentions Henson briefly expressed on April 4th on The View that correspondence signed by Vishai Y. Gray, Trey Bars, Gabriel's not saying that. Nicole Ari Parker among the odds. We understand that the past months have been difficult to process. Sometimes the headlines brought more confusion than clarity, yet we now have a conclusion to this ordeal. I wouldn't technically say that it is a conclusion to the ordeal because Jussie Smollett, he settled. So it's not an omniscient of guilt, but he is. I don't want to call him guilty, but he is. He isn't guilty. He is guilty to a point that he did do wrong. He did lie. He basically committed federal crimes. I see. I feel like it's. I don't know where I stand on this. I feel like Jussie Smollett should still have a job. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know where else he would get work, but I do feel like Empire. I know this is probably sounds crazy for me to say. I do feel like Empire is too high profile of a TV show for him to be on it anymore. I feel like just because you show remorse, that doesn't mean that you show strength. So I do feel like you should have to work your way up to a role of that caliber. I feel like he should have to work his way back up to a role of Jamal. Is that his name on Empire? But yeah, I feel like he should have to work his way back up. I feel like he shouldn't be instant gratification for his basically lying to the police.
Yeah, for me, it's too. He's too messy. There's too much bad blood. There's too much bad energy. The whole conversation, the whole event to me speaks to the fact that I just want to restart, put him on a new show. I can't deal with him in the state that he is in right now, if that makes sense.
No, for sure, for sure. All right, moving on. So, Morgan, have you heard about Kanye West and what he did at Coachella?
Are you talking about how he sent out his Sunday service in that weird circle thing? Because that made me very mad.
So, not only that, but he sold merchandise at Coachella that said church socks, Holy Spirit, basically, basically ripping off of a Sunday service. And I fall at the part where Kanye West is basically committing blasphemy. I know
I mean,
if you
no,
are
no, no, no.
listening,
Marcus,
if,
Marcus, let's be realistic. Evangelists and Christians do that all the time, though.
but this is the difference, and we've called them out as well on this podcast. I feel like what Kanye West is doing, he is not developing a spiritual connection when it comes to his Sunday services, because at his Sunday services we don't know what's happening there, but it just feels like a lot of what's the name of the songs, not parody songs, but it's not the right word, but a lot of parody songs, a lot of cover songs for gospel music. It feels like he is uplifting himself in a business way, and he is profiting off of religion. And what he's doing is
But we
he's
do
he,
that. See, I can't call Kanye West out because we do that all the time in this religion, though.
but
We
this is
do
what I'm
that all
saying.
the
This
time. We got
as
TV. We got TV Christians out here selling out stadiums. Kanye West is in a field with a bunch of people who dress up in all white.
so this is the difference between that. I myself, I can't speak for you, Morgan, but I myself, I call those evangelists, I call those Christians out on that as well. And I feel like what they're doing is wrong. So the same energy I bring to the Joel Osteens, to the TD Jakes, I'm bringing towards Kanye West, because I feel like what he's doing, he is profiting off of people's, he is profiting off of the most vulnerable people's emotions, and he is turning that into profit. Such
And I
as
believe
I
that.
can't speak for you, Morgan, but
I
as
believe
a
that.
as a
But at the
member,
same time, I'm saying Kanye West is selling T-shirts and concert tickets. Those people are robbing people of their whole life savings. I can't put them on the same level.
I can put them on the same level because they're doing the same thing. There's in the Bible, I don't know if you read the Bible, Morgan, but in
Mm.
the Bible, no sin is bigger than the other. So I can't look at someone like Joel Osteen who's saying, "Hey, refinance your mortgage and give me money to build my new cathedral in my sanctuary, and Kanye West saying, hey, buy my merchandise, hey, send me $1,000 for the Sunday service and you can be a part of it. And also back in 2009, the Kardashian family had their own type of cult like church where people paid thousands and tens of thousands of dollars just to worship with them. And that comes to my problem of this, because Kanye West has such a big platform, and in the Bible it says that music has a way of influencing your soul, and so Kanye West is using his God-given talent to influence people for his selfish gain. Now, I've heard he's still working through it. He's still breaking down, and that's not cool. I feel like I can't tell a person how they need to heal. I'm just saying you don't need to heal while profiting off of others, off of the most vulnerable.
But what if this is how Kanye West worships?
If
What
this
if
is
this
how,
is how he does it?
if this is how Kanye West worships, that is fine with me. I don't care. What I do care about is turning around and selling merchandise that profits off of your Sunday service. That looks like basically what he's doing. It basically looks like an album rollout. While he's doing the Sunday services, he's performing at Coachella. It looks like he is prepping for a album release, and that's what I have a problem with.
But at the same time, Kanye West has been in the music, like Kanye West has been in the music industry for so long, releasing music for so long. I tend to believe that this is just how Kanye West lives his life. I think Kanye West literally lives his life like he's about to roll out an album, whether or not he's about to roll out an album.
I'm Okay, so let's go with that. So if he's just doing the Sunday service, if he's just releasing music, I'm fine with that. I don't care. That's literally all we need to care about when it comes to Kanye West. Release the music. But when you're also tying in religion, when you're tying in Christianity, when you're tying in profit towards your releasing music, that's what I have a problem with.
I'm just saying, I think at this point, I don't think Kanye West sees a difference between his religion and his worship and releasing an album.
And that is wrong. But enough of that. Enough of Kanye West. We've talked about him way too much. So, Morgan, who do you think is the most transparent? We are in the dining room now. Who do you think is the most transparent president ever?
Probably the one who got shot on stage and still finished the speech.
Well, according to our current 45th president of the United States, it is him. So, President Donald Trump, who refused to give over his taxes, who refused to tell people, to refuse subpoenas from the Congressional Committee, who has lied under oath, who his administration has lied under oath, who he has continually broken the Constitution, has said he is the most transparent president ever, and that what has happened to him has been a witch hunt, and there has been no collusion with Russia, and it has all been a farce, and that the Democrats have been wasting money. Now, I don't know about you, Morgan, but I will say when it comes to President Donald Trump, he has quite a way when it comes to himself. It is his way or the highway. He demands loyalty from everyone in his cabinet, from the janitor in the White House to the vice president. Um, However, him being transparent, that ain't it, Chief. He has not been transparent. He's never been transparent. If he was transparent, there would have been no reason for the Mueller report to even happen. He would have just come out and say, "Hey, my son and some of my advisors met with Russia," but he didn't do that. He also hasn't come out and said why Jared Kushner and his daughter Ivanka have security clearances. So it just feels like he does not know the definition of transparency.
Well, uh, first of all, for the president I was talking about, it is Theodore Roosevelt who gave an 84-minute speech after getting shot in the chest. But when it comes to Donald Trump and his transparency, it goes down to the problem of, I think that fundamentally as a country, we are defining transparency differently. Whereas on the left, we're like talking about everything you do, everything you say, and every problem you do. Whereas on the right, they're talking about everything we want you to know, everything we want you to say, everything we want you to believe. Donald Trump believes he's being transparent because he says conspiracy theories on Twitter. That's not the same thing. And it's also to the fact that Donald Trump, he doesn't understand what the president does. Like, even today, this is what, 2 years? 2 years into his presidency, almost nearly 3 years in. And, and he said that if the Democrats tried to impeach him, my bad, impeach him, he'd go to the court, he'd go to the Supreme Court. And that's not how that works. That's not how the government works. He fundamentally doesn't understand how the government or how the Constitution works. So when he says transparency, he doesn't know that your financial history is part of that transparency. He doesn't know your deals are part of that transparency. And honestly, I don't think he cares.
No, for sure. I don't think he cares at all. Next, Joe Biden to announce presidential bid in Charlottesville, VA.
At this point,
This
I just wanted to do it. Just get it over with.
this ain't it, Chief. Out of all the places in the United States that you could announce your 2020 presidential bid, you are going to choose the place where a young woman was killed by a Nazi, where
Well,
New
honestly,
Age
no.
Ku Klux
If you're doing
Klansmen were rioting across the city over a loser statue. This ain't it. This is Joe Biden pandering to white working class Americans. And I feel like Joe Biden, who has been a president for 2 terms, should know that the
right,
heart and soul of the Democratic Party is not the white working class. It's not rural America. It's not white people. The heart,
but
the
Marcus,
majority of votes of the
Marcus,
Democratic Party are black people. And this just
but
ain't it.
Marcus, wouldn't it make sense to make a stand in the one place that white people tried to take from you? To
No,
make a
it
stance
doesn't.
in the one place where white supremacists said this is our land, and to go there and say I'm gonna be president and you're gonna vote for me.
No, it doesn't. Because Joe Biden has a history of not being on the right side of history when it comes to racial equality, when it comes to LGBTQ rights, when it comes to relieving victims, especially when it comes to Anita Hill. What Joe Biden is doing, he's pandering to the white working class. He's not trying to take a stand against them. He's saying, "Hey, I'm just like you guys." And if Joe Biden has paid attention to America in the past 8 years, heck, the past 25 years, he would know that the soul of the Democratic Party is not the white working class. It is African Americans. It is black people. It is people of color.
But how do you reach those black people of color? I'll be honest, if you want to reach those African Americans of color, if you want to change the presidential demographic, the best way of reaching those people of color is to reach them in places where they are most likely not to be heard. We saw that in Alabama where black women stood up and fought against Roy Moore.
Morgan, that literally doesn't make sense. There's literally more black people in Alabama than white people. That, like, what you're saying, it's like
There's a
what you're saying.
lot of
Okay,
black people down here. I'm in North Carolina.
okay. So let's say Joe Biden, he goes to NCANT to announce his presidency, or UNC. Who's going? What area is going to have more black people? Of course, it's going to be NCANT. Instead, he chose the safe
Hillary
place.
Clinton Hillary Clinton literally went to campaign at my old school at St. Augustine in Raleigh, North Carolina. That shows that they see evidence that there is a large amount of African Americans in North Carolina that will vote for the Democratic Party and will help shift the vote of North Carolina.
But you're talking about Hillary Clinton. We're not. You're not. We're not talking about Hillary Clinton at all. You're
I'm
bringing
talking
some.
about no, I'm
Morgan,
talking
you're
about
talking about Hillary
no,
Clinton.
I'm talking
We're
about an
talking about Joe
individual.
Biden. We're
I,
talking about Joe Biden. We're not talking about Hillary Clinton.
I'm
There's two. That's two different
talking
people.
about an
Hillary
individual who
Clinton.
clinically and specifically picked everywhere she went.
Okay, you think Joe Biden is going to go to Raleigh, North Carolina to campaign?
The
No.
capital of North Carolina, I bet you he
he
does.
he won't go to St. Augustine. In fact, this week there's a sheet of people where presidential candidates went to a forum to talk about their platform. Was Joe Biden there? It was in Houston, Texas, at Texas Southern University. Was Joe Biden there? No, he hasn't announced yet. He wasn't there. So instead of pandering, it's not pandering. Instead of saying, "Hey, I am a changed candidate. I do not reflect my record. Hey, I know I voted for the crime bill. Hey, I know I voted to imprison black people. Hey, I know I voted to imprison black people who have minor drug offenses." Instead of trying to make amends with the black people who he has disenfranchised, who he has stepped on, who he has stepped
This
on to
time it's
get to
Kamala
his way
Harris.
to the vice president. He's saying, "Hey, now that I'm going for the highest office in the land, I'm not going to go with the people who have got me here. I'm going to pander to the people who don't like me, who probably won't like my policies, who probably will say, 'Hey, guess what? You're basically a Democrat, so I'm not going to vote for you.'" Joe Biden is pandering to Trump supporters. And that's what all this is about. He's saying, at its core, he's saying, "Hey, I'm just like you guys. We can all figure this out eventually. Just vote for me in office, and then we'll all be good."
Kamala Harris has the same awful track record as Joe Biden.
No, okay, that's definitely wrong because she doesn't. And so
She
I was
literally put African American people in jail.
Okay,
literally.
tell me, because I researched her. Tell me the story about this, because I can tell you the story. Do you know the story, or are you just repeating what you said online?
I'm reading what the people said when they talked about her as a presidential candidate. As individuals who will vote for her will hear about her.
This is what happened with Kamala Harris. So I'm gonna break it down for you. So when Kamala Harris was DA in California, I forgot what county or which district. She had a law that said, "Hey, when you don't send your kids to school, I'm going to arrest you, and I'm going to arrest the parents and send the parents to jail." So what really happened? She only arrested one parent, and that parent just said, "I couldn't send my kid to school because I didn't have the resources." And instead of throwing that parent in jail, she gave that parent resources. She gave that parent a job. She gave that parent what she needed to be able to get her kid to school. And she did that with hundreds of parents in the California area. So this false narrative that Kamala Harris was just throwing black people in jail for the hell of it is wrong. See, this is the dangerous part of this era that we're in. We live in this meme culture. We live in this quick popcorn information culture where
this
people
is a
aren't
culture that's always been
where
here,
people
Marcus.
aren't. No, it hasn't. When people are not reading, when people are not doing. Morgan, you just said you didn't do research. You read what somebody else said. No, and that's wrong. That's literally the problem when it comes to this. You have to do your own research. So when it comes to a person like Kamala Harris, you have to read.
It doesn't matter what's true. What matters is what people believe.
And that's the
how
problem.
Trump got in the presidency in the first place.
And that's the problem, because people were basing off of their gut and not actually what the facts were. If they would have known the facts about Trump, he would not have been in office.
He literally said, "Grab him by the pussy" on national television, and nobody cared.
Okay, and this is I hear what you're saying. I definitely hear what you're saying. I'm taking it into account. But this is what I'm saying. Moving forward, we have to be informed. We have to know about the candidate. We can't just go off of what somebody said on Twitter, because that sounds
that's
good.
Never how America.
Okay, and that's fine, but I'm saying that needs to change. We need to change that. We can't just go with the status quo because that's what happened before. That's how it's always gonna be. That has to change, and it's up to people like us who have a podcast, who have a platform to properly inform people. Like, hey, that's not what happened. This is how it went down. This is what you need to know. This is how you should act. Not persuading them anyway, but just saying false statements like Kamala Harris was throwing black people in jail. That's wrong, and we have to address that. Like, we can't just sit here and say, like, it would be faulty of me for sit here to agree with you when you're saying Kamala Harris was throwing black people in jail. And I'm just like, yeah, you're right. When literally I've done the research, because this troubled me as well as a black man in America, seeing a DA who's running for the highest position in the land, who has a history, who has a track record of throwing black people in jail. I took it upon myself to say, hey, let me do research on this because she says she didn't do it. And when you do the research, when you see everything that went down, she was not throwing black people in jail. She was giving black people in that area a way of basically resources to give them a better life. And that's the problem with the whole Kamala Harris thing, because she wasn't throwing black people in jail. She was giving them access to a better life, giving them resources to a better life, something that none of the other candidates in the Democratic Party have done for their constituents.
Mm. We'll see. I don't think she has a chance, though.
Okay, grand opening, grand closing. You got this, Momo.
All right. So, ironically, this is going to be kind of a letdown from what that conversation once was. But it is the beginning of the spring anime season. And so, of course, as I always have, I got y'all. I got my spring anime season list. There's not as many good animes coming out. I mean, if you're in the anime community, you know that spring isn't exactly the best time for anime. It's actually not. It's not all that good, if we're being truthful. But there's a few gems out there that I think everybody should keep in mind when it comes to spring anime. So let's start it off. Of course, you got the returning OPs. You got One Punch Man Season 2 and Attack on Titan Season 3 Part 2. So always keep those in mind. For my own list, I have starting off Demon Slayer, Kashi no Yaba. It's been super amazing. First 2 episodes have come out. It's a very in-depth character story, really amazing shonen, really amazing graphics, really amazing art. I mean, just the intro alone is a selling point, so watch that. Fairy Gone. Now, this is a original anime in that it's not based off of a manga, which is extremely rare. And like many animes not based off of manga, the story can be a bit messy. So the first 2 episodes are very poorly paced, but it has a lore that I think a lot of people can connect with and a lot of people can like. Of course, the one anime, Marcus, you saw this on my Instagram, Carol and Tuesday. It is Japanese exclusive for the next couple of months, and then it will be on Netflix. But those of you anime fans, you know where to find it. Super amazing. The music, the art, the world, it's touching my heartstrings on a level I can't even describe to you. It's basically I don't know if you've seen this, but Your Lie in April. It's Your Lie in April, but like 10 times better. So, check that show out if you have time. Of course, I got to put in for Black Clover, one of my favorite, one of the best shonen out here right now. You got to check that out. And we have our obligatory isekai this year. It is Checkyu no Mango. That one is it's the isekai. It's the isekai. If you like it, you'll like it. If you don't, you don't. And Fruit Basket got a remake. That's really good. So if you haven't checked out the original, it's a really good love story, romance, fantasy anime. Definitely check out Fruit Basket Season 1. But really, I'm not going to lie to you guys. It's not as good as last season. The winter season animes. But there's still some good shows out there. So keep your eyes peeled. And that's all I got right now, Marcus.
Dope. Once again, thank you for listening to the SuperFlow Bros podcast. Once again, I am your co-host Marcus Flowers at One Marcus Flowers on social at One Marcus Flowers on all social media platforms. Follow Morgan at Metro Meta 26 on all social media platforms. Follow 26 and Glencoe on Twitter at 26 and G. Follow us on Instagram at 26 and Glencoe. Follow us on Facebook at 26 and Glencoe Media Network. And follow us on YouTube at 26 and Glencoe Media Network. So we have it's summertime. It's basically summertime. So it's hot
Almost.
outside. We're definitely, we're
So
gearing up.
hot.
We're gearing up for the summer season. So we have our Avengers Endgame review, which our Avengers Endgame spoiler free review, which will be dropping on Saturday. We have our Avengers Endgame spoiler review, which will be dropping on Monday. I have a Shazam review, which also will be dropping on Monday. I actually will be dropping on next Tuesday. We have Marcus Motor Mondays, which will be dropping on Monday as well. And we have our Buzzer Beater podcast, which will be dropping in early May. So make sure you are on tunes for all that. Make sure you are subscribed to us on all streaming platforms: Spotify, Google Music, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, so that you see our latest up to date content. I think that's it. And until next time, peace.
Hold up. Oh wait, never mind.
Oh, go for it.
Just check out we got a new show coming out, the SuperFlow Bro vlog. The SuperFlow Bro vlog. It will be YouTube exclusive, and you'll be able to see both me and Marcus and our entire journey going to see Endgame. I'm super excited for this. I'm gonna put a lot of effort in this, so check that out.
For sure, for sure. And so this comes out on Tuesday. It is Tuesday the 25th, and we have a Dust Off the Chargers coming out on the 26th. Once again, I set off our socials, so check out for us. And until next time, peace.
Peace.